History keeps showing us the same thing. The most effective way to control people is to make them believe they are free. Every few years, millions of people walk toward ballot boxes filled with hope. Flags wave in the streets, fiery speeches echo through crowded squares, and television channels spend all night coloring election maps. One side wins, the other loses. Streets fill with celebrations. People truly believe they have shaped their own future. But what actually changes the next morning? When the sun rises again, no matter who won the election, inflation keeps eating away at your money. Rent keeps increasing, your debts remain exactly where they were, central banks continue printing currency, and global financial elites keep multiplying their wealth. Politicians change, party logos get redesigned, but the economic structure of that giant, immovable machine barely moves at all. Today, we are touching one of the modern world's biggest taboos. We will examine why democracy often feels less like the true will of the people and more like a system designed to protect the financial order itself. Using examples from history and the darker corridors of modern economics, we'll explore what really happens behind the curtain. Welcome to Economic Legacy. Today, we look at the real forces operating behind the stage. Let's go back to the past first, because the foundation of what we experience today was built thousands of years ago in ancient Rome. As the Roman Empire entered its decline, its rulers realized something important. You cannot control an angry and starving population with swords alone. You must give them two things: bread and circuses. While Roman citizens distracted themselves by watching gladiators fight in arenas, emperors quietly reduced the silver content inside the currency. People argued endlessly over whether the blue team or the green team would win, while their future was slowly being stolen from them. Today, the arena has become television and social media, and the gladiators are politicians. In modern democracies, elections often function like a giant lightning rod, redirecting public anger away from the system itself and toward the other side. While citizens fight each other online over political parties, there's one thing almost nobody in power dares to seriously challenge: the financial system itself. Why does almost no candidate question the power of central banks to create money? Why do governments rarely promise to fundamentally change debt-based monetary systems? Because democracy is not really a system where people decide the rules of the game. It is often an illusion where people only choose who gets to sit in the manager's chair of a game whose rules were written long ago. Now we arrive at the most important question: how independent can a government truly be? Modern states exist inside enormous debt cycles. And who controls this debt? Financial institutions and banking systems that ordinary people never elected and that rarely answer directly to democratic pressure. To understand this, we first need to understand how money is created. Today, most of the world's money is generated by banks in the form of debt. But there is a major flaw, or depending on how you see it, a deliberate design feature inside this system. The principal money is created, but the interest required to repay it is not. Mathematically, this creates a permanent imbalance. Total debt always becomes larger than the total amount of money available in society. It turns the economy into a giant game of musical chairs. Every year, someone must lose because there simply is not enough money in circulation for everyone to pay back both principal and interest. This is where democracy enters the picture. Instead of explaining this structural problem to the public, politicians constantly create new scapegoats. One side blames the rich, the other blames immigrants. One blames foreign powers, the other blames lazy workers. But the deeper issue remains untouched. Money itself has become a debt instrument. When a country is buried under debt, the true owners of that country are often not its voters, but its creditors. Every newly elected finance minister eventually faces the same reality: a desk filled with unpaid interest, loans, and financial obligations. At that point, ideology ends and mathematics begins. Remember Greece in 2015. Citizens voted against austerity policies. But what happened afterward? The European Central Bank and the IMF enforced the logic of debt over the expressed will of the people. Democracy collided with financial reality, and financial reality won. So how does such an unbalanced system survive for so long? The answer is simple: manufacturing consent. This concept, made famous by Noam Chomsky, became one of the foundations of modern democracies. If people cannot be controlled through physical force alone, then their perception of reality must be shaped instead. Financial elites fund media corporations, think tanks, and educational systems that influence what ideas are considered acceptable and which ideas are labeled as dangerous or conspiracy theories. For example, simply asking why central banks often operate with enormous independence from public control is frequently portrayed as irrational or extremist in mainstream discussion. Yet it may be one of the most important economic questions of our time. The system allows people to choose between a few approved options, but ideas outside that framework are quickly accused of threatening stability or creating economic chaos. Ironically, the people who caused some of the biggest financial disasters in history were often the architects of the system itself. Think about the 2008 financial crisis. Yet thanks to the structure of modern finance, the people at the top rarely suffer the true consequences. Banks labeled too big to fail were rescued using taxpayer money, while millions of ordinary people lost homes, savings, and stability. Politics often acts like a silk curtain covering the machinery underneath. In the 1970s, a single salary could often buy a house and a car. Today, even households with two incomes struggle to survive month to month. That is not simply incompetence, many argue, it is the natural outcome of the system itself. Democracy may allow you to choose who governs you, but it does not necessarily allow you to choose the economic structure you live under. Today, this financial system is evolving into a new phase: central bank digital currencies, or CBDCs. If democracy is already an illusion, some believe CBDCs could become the final stage of that illusion. Throughout history, physical cash gave people a degree of independence. Nobody could fully monitor what you purchased, where you spent money, or what you believed. But when every transaction becomes digital and centralized under institutions with total oversight, freedom itself may begin to shrink. In a world where a person's digital wallet could theoretically be frozen with a single click because of political opinions or protest activity, can we still talk about true freedom? The freezing of bank accounts during the Canadian trucker protests gave many people a glimpse of this possibility. Financial systems are no longer just tools for exchange, they can also become tools of control. This new form of power may continue calling itself democracy, while slowly narrowing the boundaries of acceptable behavior. So does all of this mean hopelessness? No. In fact, understanding the system is the first step toward freedom. If democracy has become a decorative layer covering a financial machine, then escaping that trap begins not only at the ballot box, but also through personal financial awareness. While the system pushes people toward endless debt, learn to save. While the system tries to make society fully dependent on paper currency and digital systems, consider real-world assets, gold, silver, land, and decentralized stores of value. Because history teaches the same lesson again and again. Empires collapse, currencies lose value, politicians disappear, but real value survives. At Economic Legacy, the goal is not fear, it is awareness. The greatest power a person can have is understanding how the system truly works. If you believe this video reflects the hidden reality of the modern world, share your thoughts in the comments. Do you think democracy is genuinely the will of the people, or has it become a perfectly functioning debt collection system? Share this video if you think more people should hear different perspectives. Subscribe and turn on notifications if you want to be part of this financial awakening journey. And remember, the real choice is not only who you vote for, but where you choose to store the value of your labor. Thanks for watching. In the next episode, we'll go even deeper. Goodbye.